JV, you played this thing. This is like that weird. Is it procedurally generated?
It's it's one of the strangest things I've played in a long time.
Is it good? Strange?
Mostly. Yeah, let's go with mostly. So it's an expansion pack that's a standalone game that's set after the events of the original Prey. But you don't have to have played Prey to understand the story, but it doesn't really have a practice mode, so you really should have played Prey if you hope to survive in this at all.
Okay.
But it's basically it's very structured very strangely. It's a roguelike sort of thing where you're on a moon, where you're on the moon, the lunar moon. And
the lunar moon.
Yeah. TranStar, the corporation from the first game, has a base there. And you are playing a spy. This is so fucking weird.
So you're not the main character?
What?
It's not like Morgan, you?
No. It's not Morgan or Alex. Morgan, sorry. You are playing a spy for a rival corporation who is orbiting said moon, and something has happened on the moon. Spoilers, and an outbreak of the alien monsters. Yeah, that's what's happened. And your job is to run simulations of like the 5 survivors that got off the moon and to recreate what they did. So sometimes that means and all the survivors are like characters with different abilities. So they're basically like character builds from the first game. So you have like the patient who's like really good with like psychotic powers, who can psychic powers. So he can use like telekinesis, throw people against walls, or he can use massive energy blast, but he has weak health. And then you have the security officer that's really good with guns and nothing else. So they all have story objectives, and you accomplish those story objectives to unlock other characters. And then the goal is to get all 5 of them off the base in one simulation. So
so you're like swapping between them, like Lost Vikings, or what the?
No, it's like you do one run as one character, and you either die or get off the base, and then you switch to another. And then if you die at any point, the whole simulation resets. So you have to do it all over again.
Is it so? It's brutally hard.
I didn't die once actually.
Okay, so it's brutally easy.
If you're very careful. If you try to play Prey, I mean, it's pretty much the same rules for the base game. If you try to play Prey like a first-person shooter, you're going to regret that choice a lot. You will not have any fun. You'll wonder why you're getting your ass handed to you. If you try to play it more like System Shock too, sort of like being creative, not going all crazy, when you come against enemies, trying to think of how to bypass obstacles, then, it's not too hard.
Yeah.
It's more of an adjustment thing, like use your brain. It's much easier if you've played the base game. If you haven't played the base game, you're just going to get destroyed.
The base game is pretty difficult.
I think everybody hit that wall after a certain point in that first game of like, oh, I'm really going to have to take this seriously, aren't I? I need to be a smart guy for this one.
Yeah. But it's interesting because it's like choices that you make carry across every every playthrough in the simulations. So, for example, within a contained simulation. So, for example, there are 5 ways to get out of the space station, one for each character. So, let's say one of them is the shuttle. If I use my first character to escape via shuttle, and every escape method, it's more than just find a way to escape. Often, minor spoilers, but for the shuttle one, not only do you have to find the shuttle, you have to find the corpse of a pilot, steal their knowledge on how to, using a special device, steal their knowledge on how to, pilot the plane.
It's called the key.
Yeah.
Special knowledge, turn the key.
But, you have to basically steal that part of their brain and eat it. And then you have to go, that's when you can escape. And all of the escape, paths have multiple objectives like this. So it's not just find a way out.
Yeah.
It's find a way out, then do A, B, C, D to get out. So anyway, point is if you use the shuttle for one character, you can't use it for another. They have to find an escape pod. They have to find one very creative way to escape, which I'm not going to bring up here. But it's challenging, but it's not super hard. It was really, it's more puzzly than I expected, because I felt like Prey was a really good puzzler that was wrapped up in a bunch of tedious nonsense. I really hated the backtracking in that game, and combat just isn't fun.
Yeah.
And I feel like Mooncrash, it doesn't really add much more new content, but what it does is it cuts out all the bullshit. You know, it feels like this is the best of Prey. If you want like an area of Prey that gives you like a playground and then allows you to experiment, forces you to experiment with everything, because in Prey, the original when the base game, you were pretty much locked into like a particular like kind of character. You know, you were either at a certain point you were either playing someone who is psychic, you were playing like a combat character if you're real dumb, if you made that choice. You're playing a sneaky character, whereas like with these characters in Mooncrash, you're bouncing across them. You know, you have to try all these different modes.
So is it set up in a way where it's like welcoming to everybody if you've played a little bit of that first Prey? Like if you've played Prey, maybe I'm just speaking, you know, for first-hand experience, and like trailed off about halfway through, like you can just jump into this and it's just like, I get the best parts of Prey, have a good time with that system a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Like it just feels... It doesn't really add much more new content in terms of like, oh, here are new weapons to play with, but it's like, this is the best of Prey. If you want like, this is where this game shines without having to spend like 20 hours of just ridiculous backtracking and scavenging and getting beaten by a monster because you had some bad luck.
Right.
Like this is what you should play.
Do you think it's a good, like, would you go back and play it again afterwards, or?
I'm still playing it. Like I beat it and I'm still playing it.
Yeah.
Really?
So it's worth going through like with the randomization and like other runs and stuff.
Yeah, because I feel like they do enough interesting stuff with the randomization, because it's not just like, oh, you know, it's not just like basic rogue, like, oh, you're dead. Like you also like can find fabrication plans in this moon base. And what happens is, like, say you find a fabrication plan for an advanced pistol. All right. And then you die. You lose all your progress. But accomplishing objectives during runs and killing monsters nets you skill points, which are basically currency. So like every fabrication plan that you find will unlock that item in like the shop menu. So you can buy items to start new runs. So like I can buy that advanced pistol from now on for like 300 skill points, and the skill points are super easy to get.
Yeah.
So it's never like, oh man, I lost everything. It's just like, oh, I lost these characters' progress. You know, like I still keep all the items that I found. I can, you know, buy them.
Right.
With fake money.
This seems very up your alley, JV. And the fact that you weren't ecstatic about it, but lightly positive on it.
No, because I feel like my biggest issue with Prey, I feel like this game solved a lot of the base game's issues, but my biggest issue with Prey is that it really doesn't have an identity of its own. It feels like a greatest hits of that immersive sim genre. It feels like just Dishonored and BioShock and System Shock thrown together without like like the Mimic stuff is cool.
That's what they got, yeah.
Yeah, but what else beyond that? Like I might be in the minority here, but I feel like the story payoff was really bad. I know Bert's loved it. I really hated it. I felt like it was cheap.
Yeah,
like,
it definitely doesn't play into like all the decisions you've made.
Yeah, it feels like M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, it's very like, I don't care about what you did.
And not top tier.
Yeah.
It feels like real bad.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's I am more lukewarm on Prey than I feel like a lot of people are. Like there are a lot of people who has that sort of Far Cry 2 appeal to it, where it's like, this is rough in a lot of places, but I love it and I don't care. I love it more because of its roughness. And I'm not in that camp. I feel like that game has a lot of problems that this expansion pack, you know, remedies several of them.
Yeah. I love the idea of Bethesda making these little standalone things like Death of the Outsider. If they just keep doing this for all their games moving forward, that's cool. I guess Youngblood in a weird way is kind of a more expanded version of that.
Yeah, we have no idea what Youngblood is, but I imagine it's something like that. I don't think it's Wolfenstein 3. I think it's
just based on the title, it's like Old Blood, Young Blood.
Yeah.
I'm really kicking myself for not piecing that together. It seems to make sense. You going to play this thing, Derek?
Yeah, I think I might. I really like Prey. Dishonored is one of my favorite series of all time. I think maybe because of that, I had super high expectations going into Prey. And I wasn't necessarily disappointed, but it was definitely just a completely different game, which is totally fine. But definitely Dishonored has like this amazing identity and like creativity to it that I don't know if it necessarily carried over, like you said, JV. It definitely feels like all of those things you said, and then it just has like the gorgeous art of like Dishonored and stuff.
Yeah, but it definitely feels like it's in the shadow of like the way like Dishonored definitely draws inspiration from like Thief. You know, like there's a lot that it takes from Thief, but Dishonored is still its own thing. Yeah. It can still be like, oh yeah, we have these vaguely steampunk things. We have this great setting. We have this compelling story.
Got these cool symbols that JV tattoos onto his arm.
Hey, yay! Whereas like, I don't think Prey has that at all. Yeah. I think Prey is fun and like exhilarating and
admirable.
Yeah. And in certain tense situations in that game, like it's very good at creating memorable moments. But, I can't remember half of the characters I met in that base game. I can't, it's another space station. It's a cool looking space station, but outside of it having a cool decor, it could be any other space station.
Yeah. I'm still excited for the weird remixing they're doing with this, including like that Typhon Hunter.
Yeah.
Basically prop hunt they're going to be adding at some point later this year. I really, really want to check it out.
Seems like they're really testing the waters with Prey. Like they're kind of like, it's been a while since that game came out.
Yeah.
Like a year. And now they're like, are people still interested in Prey? Like maybe we can refine it a little bit, but
they need more time like to ramp up to the next project maybe, so they have to keep the staff busy with something. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels weird because like Prey, spoilers if you haven't finished Prey, it's definitely a cliffhanger sort of ending, a bullshit cliffhanger ending. And I just assume like because Prey sold poorly, like it did pretty awfully,
Yeah. Back in the days of Steam Spy where we could kind of see these things, I think it was like, I remember seeing like 300,000 or something at some point where it's like, it's okay-ish.
Yeah,
pretty
but
good.
like it did not do great.
Yeah,
Until
not a flop, not a flop, but middle of the road,
Right. And it's one of those things where I just assume like, oh, this is going to be a standalone expansion like Death of the Outsider.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. Like this it doesn't, like it's its own self-contained story, and it does tie a little bit into main Prey, but it's not like, oh, this is the next chapter or this is the
But
ending.
you can buy it standalone, can't you?
No, you cannot.
It's attached. Yeah, it's
Oh
attached.
God, I've been completely mistaken this entire time. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
Yeah, no, it's an expansion pack.
Damn it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so long for brilliant ideas from Bethesda. All right, never mind. I thought that was cool. But did you review this thing?
Yeah, we're actually reviewing it right now, so no score
Okay.
yet.
All right. It might be on the site. Check it out.
Yeah.
GameInformer.com. That was just a clip from a larger show called The Game Informer Show. You can find it on iTunes, Google Play, or GameInformer.com. We take the fun opportunities and exclusive information from Game Informer magazine and boil it into a show that airs every Thursday with exclusive cover story information, developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So come love games with us.